What's up, guys? Great to see everybody again. What's up, guys? So thank God we don't have any COVID evictions. That is today's topic. How have I been able to go through without having to evict any tenants during this epidemic? That's today's topic. Today we'll also go over all of your questions, go through your Q&A, how to find properties, how to buy properties, what should you do in each scenario that you're falling into. So I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. It's great to see everybody again. What's up, Daniel? How you doing? All right, what's up, King? Hey, bro, what's up? So again, you guys, I'm going to go over a topic today. After going over the topic, I'll go live with whoever wants to go live. Second, I'll be answering the questions on YouTube DM. I'll be answering the question section of IG, and then I'll be answering the DMs in IG. So I'll be going in that order. So make sure if you want to get your question answered, go live, come live, and I'll answer that question for you. Says I seem chill. I am pretty chill, but at the same time, I also have no chill. So it really just depends the scenario if I'm like super chill or I have no chill. So what's up, Chili? What's up, Lucy? What's up, guys? Great to see everybody again. What's up, everybody on YouTube? Thanks for all the thumbs up. I appreciate all the positivity, all the thumbs up, and everything you guys are, the feedback and going into the comment section and leaving your opinions. I really appreciate all that. It means a lot to me. You know, it also helps out with the algorithm so other people can see it and we can all grow financially. This is going to be the greatest opportunity for wealth transfer in our lifetime. But two things are going to go down. Either the wealth transfer is going to go in your favor or the wealth transfer is going to go against you. So be prepared. All right? What's up, Queens? What's up, Fred? Gold at 1900. Gold at 1900 just started, guys. Just started. Bank of America doesn't even invest in gold, and they're predicting 3,000. 3,000. And if you guys invested, I think I called out gold at like 1,600, and you'll see. It's going to be slow and steady. Slow and steady. Gold's going to go up, and then once things get really bad, really scary, because gold is where everyone goes to when things are scary, you know, not really predictable. It is the safety play. It's going to skyrocket. Yes, Daniel. Sunday knowledge. That's today. Going to get you guys, fill your brains up, get you hyped up and ready for Monday. I actually look forward to Mondays. I really like Mondays. I enjoy what I do. And that's why I said, find what you really enjoy doing. And you're not going to, it won't matter if you put in 100 hours because you're just having fun. I really enjoy doing what I do. In today's topic, we're going to jump right in. Today's topic is how I don't have any evictions. Okay? So how do I not have any evictions? We have 35 units. I own 35 units right now and no evictions. So how is that possible, right? My like vacancy ratio is like 2%. And that's only because when someone moves out, we'll clean it up a little bit and then get it ready for the next tenant. So we have a very low vacancy ratio. Back in 2008, when the market tanked, my vacancy ratio was like 30-something%. Out of the 23 units I owned, 8 were empty. So it was bad. It was really rough times. Now my vacancy ratio is like 2%. But how am I in this scenario? So I'm going to give you a couple of tricks. So how do I do this? So first thing that I do is I have Section 8 tenants. Section 8 tenants. So a lot of my Section 8 tenants, it's a little hard to read. It's getting better. So Section 8 tenants. Section 8 is a program by the government, where the government pays a large percentage of a tenant's rent. They don't have enough money to pay all of their bills, so the government pays a section, the tenant pays a section. If the tenant doesn't pay their portion, if the tenant doesn't take care of the property, they can be evicted and they can lose their Section 8 voucher. So normally, you get good tenants, normally. Now, I'll tell you this. It doesn't matter where the person's money comes from. If you are interviewing someone to rent your property and they don't have a good attitude or they just give you a bad vibe, it's probably not a good idea to rent to them. It doesn't matter where the money's coming from. In the past, when I was younger, I would think some money is better than no money. And I learned no money is better than some money. Because even though you're getting money, you're losing time and opportunity and frustration. So remember, it doesn't matter where the money's coming from. Just make sure they're a good tenant. Jan, yes, the image back here is mirrored because I'm using the front face camera and I can't switch it around. If I switch it around, I won't be able to see the comments. Now on YouTube, you'll be able to see it in the right format. So I'm on YouTube right now. It's at Pascal Corcus. You can come and check it out. So now, Section 8. A lot of my Section 8 tenants are actually retired individuals, older ladies, older guys, handicapped. So they're normally very clean and quiet. So they're great tenants, great people. They just happen to have bad things happen in their life. So the government's helping them, with their financial situation. Great tenants, great opportunity, Section 8. That is one of the tenants that were one of the reasons why I don't have any evictions because of COVID. 1. 2 is I rent to a lot of retired. A lot of retired people rent in the areas that I buy properties. I buy in downtown cores. So in a downtown core, there's a lot of people that are retired at age 55, 65. They're healthy, they have some money, and they just want to enjoy their life. Those people have pensions and retirement accounts. They're paying their bills. They're paying their rent. COVID doesn't affect them because they're not working. So that's another reason why I'm having no issues with collecting rent. Okay? The other section that I'm in, normally the tenants I'm interviewing, I'm making sure they're good tenants. So either way, remember, it doesn't matter where their money's coming from. You want to make sure that you're renting to people and you're putting in a good scenario, like making sure that they're the type of people that you want at your property. So I've been very picky on the last few people I'm going to move into my cottages. And I was basically saying, I want to make sure that I'm picky on who goes in there, because if you get a person with a bad attitude, bad energy, if you get the wrong person in your property, especially if you have like a number of units there, they can actually be like a mold, like mold on bread. It just like messes up the whole thing. It messes up the whole energy of the community. So I rented out. I had a 7-unit property, one of my best properties, and I rented it to 2 different people. Those 2 people were constantly thinking about ways to game the system and game me and to just cause problems. I did everything they ever wanted, provided them everything they needed. But no matter what I did, they constantly try to find problems and issues and just constantly were stirring the pot. Other tenants, I did block him. The other tenants were telling me about how bad they were. And the good tenants were leaving because of the bad tenants. So I ended up having to evict half of the people just to clear up this property. The 2 people that were the troublemakers, and then there was about 3 people that were good. And then there's 2 people in the middle that the second they see that there's trouble, they'll end up joining the troublemaker side, because if they could benefit, then why not? They're going to join their side. So I ended up evicting 4 out of the 7 people and just clearing house. And once they saw me evict those 2, the other people were starting to realize, wow, Pascal's not playing. And they got their act together. They changed. They started acting normal and being like good tenants again, and it resolved the issue. So sometimes you have to put your foot down. But then again, no matter where the money's coming from, make sure that you're renting to good people. All right. So Section 8 tenants, retired tenants. The last part is I'm renting to people that can more than afford the rent. So the last one is I have the 3X rule. Your income has to be more than, I like a lot of basic rules, very simple rules. Your income has to be 3 times rent. 3X rent equals income. So rent has to be less than 3 times or equal to income. Okay? So let me repeat that. Rent must be less than, or their income must be greater than 3 times rent. If rent is $1,000 a month, they need to make more than $3,000 a month. If the rent is $1,500, they need to make more than $4,500 a month for them to take my property. If they don't, I charge an extra deposit amount. So normally I'll charge first plus security. Okay? So if the rent's $1,000, I'll charge $1K plus $1K. If their income is not greater than 3 times the rent, so if the rent is $1,000 and they don't make $3,000 a month, I'll say, okay, I'll let you in, but you have to pay last another $1,000 up front. You have to pay me $3,000 up front to move in. What that shows me is, yeah, the guy's not making a lot of money, but the guy is good at saving money and managing his money. I'll let him in. Let's just say the person had mistakes in the past and they had an eviction. I'll still let you in. Plus another security deposit of $1,000. So yeah, you make $3,000 a month. My rent's $1,000 a month. You need $4,000 to move in if you don't make enough money and you had an eviction on your record. I'm willing to give you a chance, but I cannot take a risk. I want to help you, but I can't take the risk. Now, if you do that, the risk is reduced. Because if the person doesn't pay the rent, then you start the eviction process. You get $1,000 to fix the place up, $2,000 to fix the place up, and $1,000 in the month you lost while you're doing the eviction. Because eviction is going to cost you $150 in legal fees plus court costs and whatever it's going to cost you, like $450, $500, $600 is going to cost you. So you need enough money to cover that, because if you just spend $500, that just killed some of your income. So again, you cannot, keep all problems from happening, but you can prepare. I got a comment here that says, I don't believe you can legally ask for extra security deposit though. It depends what state you're in. Again, I'm giving you my experience from my state and from my area. You need to do research and talk to your local lawyer regarding your tenant laws. Okay? If you're in New York, Chicago, LA, California, you probably can't do this. New Jersey, you probably can't do this because they're very tenant friendly, not landlord. But I'm in Florida, Texas, Arizona. They're more landlord friendly, so the laws are in their favor. So you got to do your research, okay? I'm in Toronto. Toronto is also very tenant friendly, so you might not be able to do that. I live in by Clearwater, Florida. And guys, I know you guys are saying this is inverted. That is correct. It is inverted. On YouTube, it is not inverted. It's at Pascal Corcus on YouTube, and you'll be able to see everything the right way. And YouTube, thanks guys for all the thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Smash the like button. So, all right. So, most people that I rent to are making a considerable amount of money. If they are retired, a lot of them will pay a large portion up front. That way, so like in my coastal cottages, the 16 unit, I have many people that paid for the full year up front. They made 1 year of rent up front, 6 months of rent up front. Many people. So it's nice. Awesome. All right, guys. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask. I'm going to jump into the questions. Peter says, do you think the eviction moratorium be extended again in October? So from what I understand, in certain areas like New York, New Jersey, LA, they're going to go the full 12 months. The moratorium is going to go a full 12 months. You won't be able to evict them. Now, in the Florida market, what I understand is that our moratorium for eviction lifts August 1st. So, Peter, I know you're in like the Seattle, not Seattle, right below that state below Seattle, Oregon, is it? But anyway, also a very pro tenant state, not landlord friendly. So it could be. So guys, let's not curse. There's no need to curse and fight each other in the DMs. We're all learning here, okay? So, hey Pascal, nice to see you. After the fact, do you feel the troublemaker tenants showed their attitude at first, but maybe you missed it? Respectfully speaking, in some scenarios, yes. In some scenarios, no. Most of the time, I'll be honest with you guys, we're going to be willfully blind. What does that mean? That means we kind of knew that person was a problem and we really needed to rent the property out. We really needed the money. And the worst decisions I've made is when I really needed the money. That normally always the problems and the bad decisions we make is when we really need the money. So I really needed the money. And I kind of felt like that guy was just didn't give me good vibes. He said really like, so this guy, I have a lot of friends. Let me start with this. I have a lot of friends in the military. So I respect the military and, right. So I'm going to start with that. But this guy, he was ex-military and had a lot of assistance. And I think that's a good thing for people who are serving the military. If they get hurt, they should get the assistance. His issue was he had stubbles on his face, right? And he told me that he was getting 75% disability because of his stubbles. But he wants 100% disability because of his stubbles on his face. Basically, it's like acne. And he said he purposely shaved it with a rough razor to make the stubbles worse so he can get 100% disability. So I rented it to him, right? I treated him like everybody else. But that was a red flag to say you're getting 75%, not because you can't walk, not because your life is any discomfort, but because you have stubbles. And honestly, the stubbles weren't really even noticeable. And he was making the stubbles worse so he could get 100% disability. And I'm like, there's a lot of hardworking veterans that aren't getting the needed like treatment. And this guy is trying to game the system to get more money. And I'm like, that's just not right. So so obviously then more and more the guy tried to like cause problems and try to game the system against me and tell other tenants on how to try to like game the system so they don't have to pay me rent. And I'm like, so this guy came from New York and the other tenants came from New York too. So they thought, oh, what we can do in New York, we can do here. They found out the hard way. The judge did not care, right? Threw them both out and took the property back, had to remodel the place, smelled like drugs. And, you know what I mean? Like, look, I don't care what you do on your home, but you're going to live there. So you should take care of it, right? Like, do you, but keep your place clean. So, anyway, I kind of knew it. I had a feeling like if someone's willing to cheat someone else and they're telling you about it, if someone's willing to abuse someone else and they're willing to tell you about it, why wouldn't they do the same thing to you? They'll do it. They'll do it to you too. So have active listening skills. When you talk, let them respond and listen to what they have to say. And you right there can tell what's going on, what they're really thinking, who they really are. So this is a good skill, even if you're not going to be your own landlord, but to pick up on what are people saying. Like if people are talking about like cheating and lying and stealing and whatever, you don't want to be a partner with them, because why wouldn't they lie, cheat, and steal against you? Because they like you. They probably like the other person too. That doesn't matter. A lot of people who lie, cheat, and steal, they think if the other person allows it, then it's acceptable. So be active and be aware of what's going on, because you don't want that to happen to you. So, Teen Ambition says, hey, Pascal. So that historic home demo is coming along, I see. It is. I mean, we got it. You saw how it looked. You guys saw how it looked before. The house was basically remodeled. We went in and we gutted it. I mean, we ripped it raw on the first floor, put in new beams. It is fully open when you walk in now. You're going to see all the way to the backyard. It looks nice. It's not, and there's no flooring yet. I mean, literally, it's just a whole bunch of beams on the floor, on the wall, and the ceiling. But it is very open, very nice. All right. So, Sal says, that's exactly right. What was the guy that created the madness in your tenant multi-units? That was the guy I was telling you about, the Stubbler Guy. He's the one that basically just studied how to game the system in every way possible. And he was trying to tell all these other people how to game the system as well, and to just do whatever possible. So he was trying to teach other people how to game the system and try to live basically for free and have me pay for it. And I was just like, no, this is not going to work. This is not going to work like that. So, yeah, it was a very frustrating time. Fredo says, I had a tenant that started shady and things got worse until she eventually took me to court for her security deposit, and after she trashed the house. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's certain people, that's the other problem is, like, even after the courts let them go, right? They like tell them you have to leave. And even if they get their deposit back, they'll still try to trash your place. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but I'm saying there's people out there like that. So you need to be aware on how to properly vet your tenants to avoid these problems. And you also need to make sure that you build your property properly, because if you build it right, even if they trash it, you can fix it and clean it pretty easy and get it back for rent. If you don't, you put in the wrong material, you put in the cheap material. Even some expensive stuff is not durable. So you have to put quality, durable items in the home so they can sustain tenants. BN9 says, what is the minimum credit score you set for your tenants? I don't have a minimum credit score. I'll take someone with a 500 credit score. It depends what their income is. It depends how much down payment they can put down. It depends their job source. If I get a nurse with a 500 credit score that's making $60,000 a year and my rent's, $1,100, I'll be like, all right, give me $4,400 and I'll let you in. Lucy says, thank you so much. You're welcome, Lucy. Teen Ambition says, thoughts on people that aren't paying rent due to COVID. So if someone is genuinely not paying their rent due to COVID, I feel bad for them, right? So we have to care for people. But we also have to think about this. They're still collecting unemployment. I had one tenant say, well, I want to negotiate my rent amount. I want to lower the amount that I would pay you because of COVID. And I said, okay, I understand. I said, but do you need help? Because we'll be happy to help you apply for unemployment and anything else. And she's like, well, no, I'm getting unemployment. And I'm like, well, do you need help applying for the additional amount of unemployment that they're offering right now? And she said, no, they didn't give me that because my employer is giving me some money as well. I said, okay, so you don't have an income problem. She's like, no, but I'm concerned about all the things going on. I said, okay, I understand. I said, but just so you know, if I give you a reduction now, that just means you have to pay it back later. So do you want to pay less now and then owe it later? And she thought about it and she's like, well, no, I'm just going to pay the full amount now. And basically we'll see if there's an issue in the future. And then in the future, we'll talk about maybe, doing a part of the rent pushed back. So if someone's paying me some of the rent, I do work with them, right? I don't evict someone if they have 70%, 80% of the rent. I'll work something out with them. Hey, tell me why you're not paying your rent. Let's work out a payment plan. We'll sign an agreement, on this payment plan. So I'll work with people. So remember, we're still people trying to help other people. That's our business. At the same time, we need to help people who want to work with us. If someone doesn't want to work with you, then that's a whole nother problem. So even before COVID, if it was the first of the month and the tenant only had like $100 or $200 to pay rent, the issue is not that they don't have the rent. Their issue is way beyond them not having the actual money, because you should have known this was a problem a long time ago. It shouldn't have gotten till the rent is due and you only got $100. You should have known about that the month before on the 15th to say, hey, I lost my job and this is what's going on. And they should have told you up front. If it's like the first and now all I got is $100, that is a big red flag. I would give them a notice immediately and I would continue the process unless something else changed. But if the person tells you up front, look, I lost my job, this is what's happening, this is my plan, this is how I'm going to go about it, then I'll work with that person. And if the tenant isn't that good at planning, because most tenants aren't good at planning, that's why they're tenants and not owners or not landlords. It's really why I tell people take my course, Foundations of Personal Finance. Because what made me different than someone else, some other 19-year-old, is I had a plan. I went and learned and studied all this information, and I was able to take this information and make a plan out of it. And that's how I was able to go from 19 units to 23 units in 4 years. So some people will be like, well, I don't know if I need to take your course. I already have 3 rentals. Well, the question is, did you gain 23 units within 3 or 4 years? If the answer is no, that means you're missing a plan and you're missing information. And that's why you need to take this course, because you'll be able to figure out what you don't know. Because the issue is you don't know what you don't know. If the tenant is not willing to listen and doesn't need help and thinks their only problem is money, if the answer is, I don't have enough money and my problem is I don't have money, that's not their problem. Money is almost never the problem. 99% of the time, their problem is something else that causes them to be bad with the money, causes them to have other issues that show up as not having money. So, all right, some people want to go live. Let's answer some questions. All right, so it's not working again. All right, let's answer Anna's question. What makes my course different from others? So my course, I actually went to an accountant, learned accounting, understood how it worked with real estate, and put that into the course. I learned credit from one of the top credit cleaners in the country. Luckily, she lived in my neighborhood, so I'd go to her house. I was friends with her son, gained all the information. I put that in the course. Taxes, credit, mortgages. I understood how the banking system works. I worked at the bank and I learned from brokers, how does the system really work? Now, real estate investors. I learned from real estate investors. What is a good deal? How to find a deal? The ways to negotiate a deal? Ways to strategy to make your money to make your money go longer, stretch further. So I give an example of how someone would normally only be able to qualify for $500,000 property. If they make certain tweaks and do little hacks, they would end up being able to qualify for up to $1 million loan. So those hacks, those tricks are all from insiders that have spent 20, 30 years playing each position. Taxes, credit, mortgages, investing. And I took all that information and I put that in the course and all the hacks that they taught me. And that's how I was able to use all of those hacks to go from no properties in 19. I didn't have any units at 19. By the time I was the end of 19, I had a duplex. And by the time I was 23, I had 23 units by using all that stuff. So it's really lack of information, lack of execution, and lack of basically a plan is what keeps people from doing it. Oh, is the course lifetime access? No, because I have to pay for the having it up online. So I think the course access, I think is like 6 months or a year, something like that. But that's more than enough time to watch everything and go over the information. But it gives you that foundation, because a lot of times, so the biggest issue is when you get the foundational information, that's awesome. The biggest issue that I'm seeing is a lot of times when people ask me questions, they don't ask the best question, and they're starting at such a low level. Like a lot of times people will ask me a question in DM, like, how do I make money? You're basically asking me to teach you the ABCs. If I'm teaching you the ABCs, you're not even going to be able to do deals until you can write paragraphs. So I got to teach you ABCs, then I got to teach you words, then I got to teach you how to structure sentences, put up a coherent thought process, and then build a paragraph. Like that takes a long time. Like, and I'm being serious. I'm not saying. I also at the beginning only knew letters. And actually didn't even know letters. I was like, when I saw that, it's like looking at a calculus book. Like, what is that? Like, I don't even understand what I'm looking at. But I was persistent and kept working to get there. All right, lives don't seem to be working. I'm trying to add people, it's not working. All right, so thoughts on people that aren't paying their rent due to okay, I answered that. Daniel said, do I have a website to search where a good neighborhood and good tenants are? Well, good tenants go to good neighborhoods. So that's kind of like, if you want good tenants, normally they go to a certain neighborhood. So you have to buy into that neighborhood to get those tenants. I used to own in the south side of St. Pete. And then someone called me and they said, hey, I have Section 8. I want to rent from you in the south side of St. I want to rent from you. And then they're like, and I told them the address of the property. I said, it's blah, 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 22nd Street South. They're like, 22nd Street South? I was like, yeah. She's like, I got Section 8. I don't have to live in the South Side. Like, it was really, really, really hood. People that have Section 8, people that have a good job, that can afford it, they're not going to live in the rougher part of town. All right. Oh, yeah. So Craigslist, Realtor.com, Facebook, and Zillow, all great places to find tenants. How do you keep your tenant vacancy low? If you're buying properties in the right area, people want to be there. You don't have to find people. People will like rush anytime you put something up for rent. And because of that, people don't want to move. Next part is I keep my rent slightly lower than market. So, and then just slowly eke up to market. Because if you think about it, the person has to move, come up with a new deposit. They have to move their stuff. It's a lot of cost. Most tenants don't want to move. They don't really have the type of budget that can afford to move. So they normally want to stay. So as long as you keep your rent within a reasonable rate, they're going to stay. Lucy says, everyone should take your course, including tenants. It's true. The crazy part is I've offered to give my tenants, like this is years ago, I would offer to give them financial reviews to help them figure out ways to get their finances in order so they don't keep on having this problem every month with being behind on their rent. And every single one said, no, I'm okay. It's a money problem. They turned down a financial review. They turned down me giving them a strategy how to get ahead. You can't help people that don't want to be helped. Daniel says the course will save you time and money. True. It will save you a lot of, because again, you're not going to try to figure things out. You're going to already be given the answer to a lot of questions that you have in your mind, and it'll help give you the confidence, because when you go through certain scenarios and situations, you already know that, well, Pascal already talked about this. Now I know how to handle this situation. So confidence is a big factor. Like, I know how to work out, right? I know how to work. I've been doing it for my whole life. So why do I drive, 45 minutes an hour to go to Tampa to go work out with like Tony? If you don't know, Tony is my powerlifting coach. He's world champion powerlifter. He's 62 years old. He's actually we're going to be going to New York, and he's going to be put into the Hall of Fame for powerlifting. And 62, he still squats, deadlifts like 600 pounds, like crazy numbers. And he weighs 165. So it's not even like he's a heavy dude doing crazy numbers. So when he tells me to do something, when I get advice or information from him, when he encourages me, I'm confident because he just told me to do it and he's the best. So now, even though I'm still like insecure, I'll still go do it, right? Like this weekend, I did 445 on my deadlift for 2 reps. And obviously that's a lot of weight. I've never done that much before for 2 reps. But when you're like, hey, you can do this, I'm like, okay, I'll go do it. It's different when you have that confidence in you. You'll make bigger, faster, stronger moves. Sometimes people don't succeed because when they're making a move, they're not going with passion and confidence and the right energy. They'll go and try something. They'll have bad energy, bad follow through. And then like, oh, see, it didn't work. Well, it didn't work, not because the concept doesn't work. It didn't work because you didn't work. You didn't try. You didn't push. You didn't go with drive. It's different. It's like, all of this is about confidence. It's the same way when you're like, say, when you're single and you want to talk to women and whatever, you're like, it's not like they don't want to talk to people. They just want to talk to people that are confident and that are fun. But if you're going out there being shy and timid and you're like, well, she doesn't want to talk to me. When you're giving out that vibe that she doesn't want to talk to you, then you're basically telling her you have no reason to talk to me. You're telling a seller there's no reason to sell to me. It's weird, right? Like people will talk themselves out of a deal. No, you got to go in there and tell them why they should sell to you. This 8 unit, I'm getting off market, $880,000, where they're selling a triplex across the street from me for $650,000. I'm getting it basically half price per door. That's why I'm buying this deal. Remember, I said only buy amazing deals. So I'm buying it like half price, you know? Team of Business's thoughts on Ben Malala. That name rings a bell, but it's not registering right now. So I'll have to get back to you on that one. All right. So does need any license? No, you do not need a license to be an investor. You do not need a license to buy or sell any of your own properties. So I'm teaching you the skills on how to do the job. So imagine this is like, say you, like, so when I went to school for accounting, you go to school for 4 years to be an accountant. When you leave, you do not know how to be an accountant. You just have a degree. My course doesn't teach you or give you a degree. My course teaches you how to do that job, how to get the deal, how to get your credit in order, how to get your tax returns in order, how to find the right deal, how to get the best loan for your scenario, and how intelligent investors think. Probably the thinking process is the best part, because you need to change the way you think, because so a man think, so the man is. Or thinketh. What area specifically do you focus on purchasing in, and what price per square foot? So when I was younger, I used to look at the cheapest price per square foot, the cheapest unit price, the highest cap rate. That stuff doesn't matter anymore. Right now, I'm buying properties, this most current, I'm buying at 170 a square foot, not remodeled. But in this area, they're worth 330 a square foot remodeled. So price per square foot doesn't matter. It really depends what type of value add you can do, how much you can increase rents. Is the market moving in the direction that you want it to go in? Like, is it constantly being gentrified or being improved, right? It can already be a good neighborhood, but can it be even better? Those are the things that matter. Like, are you buying in an area where there's a hospital that's being built, or they're actually adding more square footage to the current hospital? If it is, that means it's a great area to rent, because nurses might want to live close, or families might want to Airbnb your property while they're visiting their loved one. They might want to stay. There might not be any hotels, so they could probably stay at your Airbnb for a couple of days while they're checking on the loved one, So there's a lot of things like that matter in where price per square foot doesn't really come into play. It is, what I found out is, it's the spread that matters. What is it currently? What are you paying for it? And what could you make it? Where's it going? And I'm looking at that spread. If that spread is large, then I'm interested. And if there's multiple factors that can cause it to get even bigger, then I go for it as well. So the property I'm buying right now, the 8 unit, it's making decent money now. After renovations, it'll make good money. I could Airbnb it, make better money. It's zoned basically downtown core, so I can make even more money. Like, just options are really multiple for success. Anthony Cruz says, I have paid about 14 years in my mortgage. Can I refinance to purchase a second unit? Yes, there's a good chance you can. So guys, if you have deep detailed questions, like you need to review your financials, your tax returns, your credit, and you want me to give you specific strategies, I do offer personal reviews where I look through your taxes, I look through your credit, I go through all of your financials to say, okay, I see where you're at, I see what your goals are, We establish where you're at. We establish what your goals are. And these are the steps to take you from here to here. Because anyone can do it as long as they take the steps to get there. Most people just don't know what are those steps to go from here to here. I have an accounting firm. I have an insurance agency. I have a mortgage company, a lending company. So we'll be able to get you in the direction and give you the information to get there. Because we've done it with so many people. I did it myself, and I've done it for so many clients. And again, I have certain people that are following me that just make a lot of money, but they don't have a lot of time. We have an investment group. So if anyone wants to invest, we'll be more than happy to talk to them and see if our goals align. The type of properties I buy, I don't buy in the hood. I don't buy high cash flow properties that don't have much appreciation. I buy good cash flow properties in nice areas that have potential for significant appreciation. So my strategy is different than some other people. If you need a moderator to sort through your comments during the lives, I'll do it for free for you. Thanks, Falf. Sure. You're welcome to. Soy says, is it a good time to refinance a house during the pandemic? I think so, because I think that we don't know what the lending market's going to be for residential real estate in the future. We don't know how much it's going to contract. So it's probably a good idea to refinance, lower your interest rates, pull cash out, and sit on the money and get ready to be able to buy the good deals when they come available. Because when you want the money, the banks are usually not willing to give it. It's when you don't need the money is when the banks are willing to give it. Mayor says, I want to be a real estate broker. Do I need a license for that? Yes. If you're going to be contracting in other people's property and you're not buying or selling for yourself, then you need to have a license for that. How much money should I save up before investing in real estate? It depends how big of a property you want. I mean, you can start as low as 20 grand and probably even as low as 10 grand, but you're not really going to get much of a property and you might not get much of a return. So it might not be worth your time. So try to save up as much money as possible, but you can get in for as little as 20 grand and great buying opportunities coming next year. So get prepared. Do you prefer to invest in apartments or homes if you were just to start out? Never never condos, townhouses, or houses. The return on investment is extremely low. Now, certain cities you might have to if you're like in Toronto or New York City or LA. But at the same time, if you're going to invest, normally it's cheaper for you to rent out there than for you to own. So it might be good for you to continue renting out there and just invest your money in another state where the returns are better. Is 3.5% down enough to purchase a property, fix it up, and then do a refinance and sell the home? Well, 3.5% down is a percentage of the purchase price. You would still need the money for the construction costs, unless you're getting into FHA 203K loan. Then you can bundle in the purchase price plus the remodel. But normally, I think it's capped to about $60,000. And it doesn't include like significant remodels, like if it was a major issue with the house. It's more like some cosmetic issues, maybe a roof or an AC. But if it's the roof and the AC and the water heater and the plumbing and the whatever, they might not let you take on that big of a project. What makes your course different to others? So my course is actually detailed on like actual details on what to do to get your credit better, how the system actually works. Most people don't go into that detail. And for this level of detail and all the different sections that I mentioned, normally they'll charge like 5-10 times more than what I'm charging. So for this level of detail, normally you have to go to a significantly higher price point. Jan says better to invest outside of Toronto. I think it's a good idea. I mean, if you have the money to invest outside of Toronto, the return on investment and appreciation should be higher. So you're going to net out with more profit. Live where you want to live and invest where the return is. That is the old saying of real estate investors. So a lot of people live in LA and a lot of people invest outside of LA. All right. Cruz says, what are the best steps to refinance? What do I look for? I mean, you're going to want lower interest, cash out, one of the two or both. I'd probably try to go for both given the market conditions. Taylor says, FHA loan requires you to live at the house before you rent it out. So normally I advise people to buy multi-units, 2, 3, or 4 unit properties. So you would live in one side and rent out the rest. All right, you are being blocked. So the question is, how do you make a good investment? So what you need to do is study your market. If you study your market, you're going to know what a good deal is and what a bad deal is. You're obviously going to go for the good deals. Just because something's for sale doesn't mean it's a good deal. It doesn't mean it's a bad deal. You have to actually study your market to figure that out. Eventually, you're going to get to the point where you're not even going after things that are for sale on the MLS, multiple listing system, because that's kind of retail. You're going to start approaching people that aren't even selling their property and ask them if they want to sell. Then you're going to try to get your properties more of like at a wholesale price. Better return on investment in that way. And everybody on IG and YouTube, please smash the like button, hearts, whatever, so we can get the algorithm to push this out to more people. What is a cash-on-cash return you look at when you are buying a property? So year one cash-on-cash, it doesn't normally it's nothing, no return. Year two, looking for something north of 10, closer to maybe 16. And then by year three, I'll be in 20, 25. One of the deals I'm looking at right now, the pro forma shows year 5 cash on cash return to be at 41%. So, it doesn't always matter what the year 1 is, but what is year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5? Because by year 5, if I'm at 41%, then that means I'm making 50% return by year 6, by year 7. I'm making good returns. It's getting higher and higher, right? So one of the properties I own right now, I bought it 8 years ago. I'm at 100% return cash on that deal. If I didn't do a cash out refi, but I did do a cash out refi. I bought it. I put down 40 grand, and on my cash out refi, I pulled out 180,000. So now I have, I'm negative 140 in the deal. I don't have any money in the deal. So, I don't look at just cap rate, just cash on cash, because if I can go by year 5 and refinance and have no money in the deal and actually have more money out of it than I have put into it, and I'm at a 3.5% interest rate on a 30-year term, and I'm still making good money per month, then I'm just riding this wave of appreciation. The big money you're going to make, guys, is in appreciation. They're going to keep printing money, so your properties are going to keep going up in value. It's going to go up and up and up. And mark my words, whatever price you're looking at right now, in the next 20 years max, the price will be triple. So if you're looking at $1 million today, it's going to be $3 million in 20 years. In 10 years, it'll probably be at least double. So if you're looking at a fourplex today and you buy it when the market goes down next year and you pick it up for about $500,000, there's a good chance in 10 years it'll be worth $1 million. So the point is to be able to ride that wave for that period of time, to sell it and make your $500,000 profit. Now, hopefully you're going to keep buying every year, every 6 months, another one. So now in 10 years, 15 years, you got $5 million in profits. So remember all those units that I bought when I was younger, right? 19 to 23. I'm now 34. I have like 6 million in wealth in real estate, like current value minus the loans I have on a property. That's awesome. I mean, again, and I did all this by myself. I didn't just take on an investor until about 3 months ago. So imagine you building that type of wealth for yourself. And it's not really that hard. Most of the big, really wealthy real estate investors I've met don't have passed like a fourth grade, didn't pass the fourth grade. They stopped going to school at the fourth grade. They dropped out. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but many of the ones that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars don't pass like a fourth grade education. You know, many of them cannot read. They're literally illiterate. They can't read. They'd bring me documents and say, what does this mean? I'd read it for them. I'd tell them it's nothing, or it's garbage, or spam, or trash. Like it's crazy. I know it's just crazy, but the facts don't matter. It's really basic. Does the property make money? Did you buy in a good area? The guy across the street sold for his property for 1.5. You bought yours for 800. You don't need to know much more than you just bought it for 700 less than he did. That's it. And most of them are conservative. So they're making enough money. They're covering their bills. They're not being fancy. 5-10 years later, the property they bought for 700, where the neighbor bought it for 1.5, they resell it for 3 million, 4 million. They got a lot of money, right? So don't overthink the game. The game's not that difficult. All right. Hey, buddy, what's up?
Yo, what's going on? Let's go.
Living the dream.
Good. That's crazy what you were talking about. How didn't pass the fourth grade. I think that's crazy. But it makes sense.
My dad did not pass the fourth grade.
Really?
Didn't pass the fourth grade. Barely can read. And then I'm looking at like some of the stuff he does, and I'm like, and where he's at, and I'm like, this guy he didn't pass the fourth grade, and he has like millions of dollars in real estate, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, because of the way he functions and the way he does things, he's so old school that's why I'm like way ahead of him. And he can't accept the new model of how to do things. But then other people that I know that are like him did accept the new model, and they're like literally they have like $500 million worth of real estate. So, and I'm like, if these people can't read and write, and they can do that, if I just play the game, do it right, make all the right moves, I'm like no question, I'm going to be a billionaire. Like I literally do not have a shadow of doubt in my mind that I'm going to be there. The question is, when am I going to be there? Because things happen, market conditions come into play, bad things happen, good things happen. So it could be, am I going to be 60 or am I going to be 80? Who knows? But either way, it's all good. Just trying to enjoy the ride.
Yeah. I had a question. I was going to ask you, do you think it'd be a wise decision to hire an inspector to inspect the property before you close on it?
Yes.
Like to go out?
Yes. 100%. 100%. Like, again, I've been doing this for 20 years. I fixed properties myself. I still hire an inspector. Yeah, still do it. Now, the property I bought in Safety Harbor for like $280 and the ARV is like $800, I didn't get an inspector. Right? Like that deal I didn't, because I knew everything was wrong and I had to spend a ton of money. And even if I had to change, like when I'm buying a property with such a discount that I have enough money to change everything and still make money, I don't do it, because if I have to get an inspector, by the time I'm done, I already lost the deal. So if you're looking at like sick deals, then no, I don't. But if you're only getting it for like 20 or 30% off, I still get an inspector just to make sure that like something crazy I missed. Because sometimes when you see a deal and you're getting it 20 or 30% off, you get like excited. And that excitement will blind you. It's not a big deal. This thing's not a big deal. That thing's not a big deal. Before you know it, you have a lot of things. You die by 1,000 cuts. So yeah, I would still get one in the part where you're only getting 20 or 30% off. But if you're getting like 50, 60% off, then normally you don't, because they're selling it at a price where it's like, all right, just, I know everything's wrong with it. Just, take care of it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And depending on what state you're in, make sure your inspector gives you your insurance reports. So in Florida, you have a home inspection that you get. But then when your inspector is doing that, you'll also ask him to get you the wind mitigation report and the 4-point inspection. These are reports that are helping you get open up the opportunities to get multiple insurance companies to give you offers for insurance, and it gives you the opportunity to get discounts on your insurance. So someone without those reports could pay $4,000, and someone that has those reports and they have good information on them, they can be as low as $1,000. This is the same exact home, but one with reports and one without reports. $4,000 insurance, $1,000 insurance. So remember that as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good seeing you. All right, guys. So B and Lane said, in the course, you run the numbers to see the loan amount you can qualify for to purchase second property, while the first loan is a rental property. If my first loan is my home, do I still run the numbers the same? Yes, you do run the number the same, because if you're planning to move out of your home and rent it and then buy another property and move into it, the bank will allow you to use that lease for renting out your home. If you don't plan on renting out your home, if you're planning on living on your home and you're planning to buy the rental property, then the bank is going to use the current lease on that rental property to add towards your income, which makes it easier to qualify for the loan. So either way, that you're going to have additional money coming in from either the rent from your property or the rent from that property. Now, if you're doing it smart and you're buying your first property as like a 4-unit, you have 3 rents already coming in, plus you're going to rent out your 4th unit when you move out, and hopefully you buy another 4-unit. So now you're going to have 7 rents coming in, 4 from your first spot, 3 from your new spot, and then you're going to be living in 1. So that's what I'm trying to show you guys. Someone asked how much my course is. Honestly, I don't remember. I think it's like $497. I think. I don't know. You're gonna have to check. To be honest, I don't really. My guys handle that, so you have to check. My guys handle that. I don't know. Link to the courses in the bio. So if you go into my IG bio, or if you're on YouTube, normally underneath my videos is a link to go to the course. I'll tell you what's on the course. You can see a lot of information about the course, what you're going to learn. It's like a 17-minute video going in detail how I went from no properties or no units to 23 units by the age of 23. So it shows you how I made that happen in the 4-year span of time, what I did, how I did the like high level, how I did the loans and the financing, how much money I got, and how I was able to churn the money to more and more properties. So all those details are there. And then you get to watch all those videos before you make a decision if you want to get the course or not. And again, if you watch the first section of the course and you don't feel you're going to learn, right? You're like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to really learn from this. Send us a message. We'll send you a full refund. We'll give you the full refund back. And what the course does is it tells us how much you've actually watched of the course. So if you watch the first section and you're like, I don't really think I'm going to learn anything from this, you can just send us a message. We'll give you a full refund. Now, if you watch the whole freaking course and ask for a refund, you're just a weird person. All right, what's next question is, how hard is it not to buy luxury items even when you had the funds? Was the discipline hard? Yes, it is very hard to not buy luxury. Like right now, I'm looking at a Lamborghini Aventador. I'm looking at Ferrari 458 Spider. I'm looking at a 720S 720S McLaren. And I'm looking at a Rolls Royce Wraith. I can probably have all of them and afford the monthly payments on them. The idea of that, to be able to own all of those cars, have them in my garage, and be like, today I'm going to take a 720S. Today I'm going to take the Wraith. I'm going to take the, you know what? It's a nice day today. I'm going to take my 458 Italian Spider, that Ferrari. It's nice. It's a nice car. It's the last naturally aspirated Ferrari engine. I think it's going to be a collector's item. So when you have that ability, it does take self-control, but it's also the same thing. Just think of it the same way as when you have the ability to eat as much junk food as you want and having that self-control. So, yeah. Now, again, I have a couple of nice cars right now. I have the i8 and the Datsun, so I'm trying to be patient to get more deals. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
First of all, thank you for all the information. It's really useful.
You're very welcome. I think you're very welcome.
Well, I'm 18 years old. I'm just getting into real estate investing. But the one question I have is, like, I don't know if you know anything about like the situation in Mexico City. That's where I live. And I don't know if I should start my real estate investing career in Mexico City, that is where I live, or I should try to move to the US or like a third world country. What do you think about it?
So you can make money anywhere, okay? Mm-hmm. You can make money anywhere. What a lot of Americans don't realize is that in America, it's not technically easier to make money. It's just a lot safer to not lose your money, to not worry about like corruption, people stealing your money, anything, crazy things like that happen. So in other countries, you can make money, but it's very easy for someone to just take your stuff, for the government to take your stuff, for bad people to take your stuff. And that's one of the luxuries you get in America. So you could do your career there, but you would have to just be very careful and conscious of what you're doing and how you're doing it, and not be flashy, and just provide a quality service. But if you come to America, and then eventually you're probably going to come to America, or unless you work your way up to serve a certain type of clientele where you can make the money you're looking for. You can always invest outside of your country as well, which a lot of people do invest in America because our properties are a little bit more secure in the sense of, asset protection. So
the interest loans for mortgage and stuff are really low in the US too. So.
Yes, they are low. But at the same time, like people in India will say, well, our interest rates are so high. And I say, well, this business works the same everywhere. And they're like, but our interest is so high. I want to pay off my loan. I said, look, it doesn't matter. I said, you come here and you go and you get, if you go and I said, what is your interest rate in India? And they're like, oh, my interest rate's 15%.
Yeah, I think here in Mexico it's like 12%, maybe 11, something like that.
Yeah. So let's just say, okay, in India it's 15, and in Mexico it's 11. All right. In the U.S. it's, let's just say 4. Some people are getting in the low 3s. Some people are getting in the low 2s or high 2s.
Yeah, that's a really big deal.
But I said, what is the appreciation on asset values in India? They said
Well,
18 to 20% asset value appreciation. I said, look at your spread. Your spread is 3 to 5% a year. What is the asset appreciation value in Mexico?
I have no idea. I guess something like that, something like in India. But
Well, I'm going to say if this is 4% less in all markets, what the logic that you learn is that the market is normally fair. With the given risk, with the different factors, the market is always fair. So if you're saying if yours is 11 and the difference is 3 to 5, that means it's going to be 3 to 5 for you as well. So that means it's going to be between 14 and 16% appreciation. And in America, it's going to be roughly 3 to 5 as well. So it's going to be 7 to 9% appreciation. And actually in America, we're a little safer. So our appreciation is actually not 3 to 5. Because we're a safer market, our appreciation is a little lower. Ours is normally around 3 to 9. I'll say 3 to 7, depending on the year and depending on the market. So in America, it's a little bit less because it's safer. So it could be
at the end of the day,
it could be -1 to 3. So at the end of the day, go ahead with your question.
have you ever invested in like other countries other than the US, maybe Mexico or something like that?
I haven't, just because in where I live now, it is a Clearwater area, the Clearwater, Florida area. So 1, it's in America, so it's safe. 2, our area is still not fully developed. So it still has that rural growing aspect. So it's as if I'm I'm investing in a like a foreign country where it's still growing, asset values are appreciating. I'm getting a little bit of that as well with the safety of being in America. Next, a lot of retired people, about 10,000 retired people are turning, 10,000 people in America are turning 65 every day. So every day, 10,000 people are turning 65. And that's going to be that way for about the next 15 years. All those people are going to move into states that don't charge tax, income tax, Florida, Texas, Arizona. So we're going to have what's called the silver tsunami, which means everyone that's retired is going to be moving. And they're going to be moving. It's going to be a big wave of people coming that are selling homes that are worth $1 million, $2 million. And our homes in the good area here are like 400. So if they have that much money, and if I'm buying in the nicest part of town where it's really great to go out and walk and be. So if someone has $2 million and they're like, you know what, I want to be in the nicest area because I have $2 million and a normal house is 400. You know what, I'll pay 800 and be in the super nice area.
Yeah, they can buy whatever they want.
Basically. Yeah, and I'm buying the nicest area. So, and before it's crazy expensive because I know that wave is coming. So I'm picking where I want to go. I'm also going to be focusing on doing assisted living facilities, which means when people get very old, they can't take care of themselves, we'll have those type of properties as well, where we can have that type of tenant that needs the extra assistance. Normally, they'll pay like $4,000 to $12,000 a month to rent out a bedroom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it, man. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'll see you next time.
See you.
Next question here. Anthony says, can an inspector inspect foreclosed homes? Yes, as long as it's allowable. Some foreclosed homes are cash purchases, but some are not. Thanks, Bask. You're welcome. Lucy says, in a lot of countries in Central and South America, it is extremely hard to do real estate. They don't provide the loans as easy as the US does. Huge down payments. True. Mitchell says, great content. Thanks, Mitchell. And Austin says, dude, this is amazing. You're welcome, Austin. What's up, guys? So what day and time do I usually go live? I go live Wednesdays at 10 p.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m. Do you have a minimum entry threshold for investors? I don't, because I'm really new to this, but most of the people, like the last person that I invested with put up 200,000. I'm like, eventually I'm going to be as low as probably like 25,000 to do an investment with me. Right now I don't have a minimum. I do request probably like close to 100,000 because it's not worth the time and the paperwork and the energy for like something really a low amount of money. I know, don't get me wrong. When I started, 25,000 was a lot of money. But $25,000 for the amount of paperwork and time and energy is not usually isn't enough unless you're going to be doing a big deal. Eventually, I'm going to be doing deals that are like 10 million. So we need to raise like 3 million, 3.5 million. So I might be taking on people with $25,000 because we'll have a large enough property and there's enough money being made to cover all the accounting and expenses. You should start scamming. Easy cheese. Listen, buddy, there's enough money out there that it is easy to make money. You just got to be focused. OMG says, I'm new to your live. What do you do? I'm a real estate investor. I teach finance, investing. I have a finance degree, minor in mathematics, second degree in accounting, minor in economics and international business. I have an accounting firm, insurance agency, lending company, property management, construction. We do it all. We're real estate investors as well. So, any question you have, I'm happy to help. Jay Stack says, so I'm very curious on what's going on in my neighborhood. There are many $1 million mansions being built. Do you think it's the owners that it pays for these projects to be built, or it's an investor buying, building, and selling? So I have my brother-in-law is in New Jersey, and he does both. He buys properties, builds them, and then builds like $2 million homes. And then he also handles the construction for people that want to get a home built. So it's all their money. He doesn't put up any of his own money. He only gets paid for his work. So it could be either way. You actually feel free to knock on the door, talk to them, and ask them, hey, how do you run your business? Ask them, maybe you want them to get something built, or is this for sale? You can ask those questions. Maybe you know someone that wants to buy their property. All right. How's my day? My day's good. What's up, Sal? How you doing?
How's it? Good. First of all, I don't know if I've ever said this, but first, personally, I wish to thank you. You've actually, just in the short time that I've been watching you and listening to the different information that you give, you've given me a great grasp of how to basically make a tool to then be able to use. And that's just in the short, whatever, like month or 5 weeks that I've been paying attention. So truly, even if I were to leave the planet tomorrow, I wish to thank you, brother, because you've actually helped tremendously.
You're welcome.
And
You're
that's
welcome. That's the goal, is to the goal is to basically like provide the tools for everyone to go out and not have to be reliant on anyone else. Like, what's the big part of, like, my big thing is freedom, right? It's not money, but how do you get freedom? You get freedom by not having to rely on people. So if I can give you the tools so you can learn how to make your own money, how to create it, that's what it's all about. Now you don't have to rely on anybody. You can be self-sufficient, and you can actually, a lot of people's depression and their worry comes from not knowing how to handle a situation when it comes up. Where's the money gonna, I don't have any money. Where's it gonna come from? And they become very reliant on other people, and that becomes uncomfortable. But if you can learn the skills on how to generate money, wealth yourself, then you feel comfortable. I know the market's gonna go down next year. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Other people, when it happens, they're going to freak out. But if you're okay with it, if you understand what's going on, you're fine with it, and you actually know how to use this to your advantage, you're no longer scared. You have this peace through the storm.
Yeah, well, I'll look at nature as examples. So it's like almost like a bad hurricane was rolling along the coast, but never goes inland. If it goes along the coast, then you're going to have rain and wind. But if it's not over your head and bouncing on your head, and you have an accurate instrument to be able to detect that, then you're sound.
And honestly, though, but what's coming next year is going to be a storm that's going to go straight over our heads, and it's going to knock down trees and power poles and everything else. This is a financial storm. The question is, have you built your financial house to withstand the storm? Do you have a generator? Do you have food supplies? Are you ready? Because if everyone's going to go and try to get cash, food, when they need it, and the stores are closed, the bank is closed, they're not giving any more loans, then they're going to be worried. That's why I said get it now. Get your cash now and have it saved and ready to go when things are on, when properties are on sale. Because if you're trying to go buy food during a storm or get gas during a storm, you're not going to find gas. I'm in Florida. You go to try to get gas when a hurricane's coming or almost here, you're not going to find gas anywhere. But if you prepared, you're like, hey, it's hurricane season. Let me always make sure my tank is full. I always make sure, like during this whole Corona COVID thing, people are freaking out about toilet paper. Toilet paper.
Right.
Well, I buy like 3 huge packages of toilet paper every time I go to Sam's Club, because I don't want to go for every like 3 months, 4 months. I don't want to keep going. And I have a reserve. I never had to freak out. I always had a reserve. So you got to make sure, are you having reserves? Can you take care of yourself and your family if the time comes? Or are you relying on someone else?
Yeah, for sure. Even, being resourceful. So I'll follow different mentors. And there's this one that says, in back in my day, they would use the yellow pages or the white pages if we needed to, if we ran out of toilet paper. So, basically, truly just using what you can in extreme circumstances. And that, I've noticed, is vital when it comes to investor mentality, is not doing it unethically, but using what circumstances or resources you have to then constructively, creatively make something from that. That's what engineers do. When you look at all engineers, they look at whatever options they have and resources, and then they try to make whatever they can from it. So. But I had some questions. You've always been talking about the getting into the triplex or quadruplex for your first investment. And you mentioned about the margin of return for the asset. What if this is a scenario that I was able to think about since we last talked because I've been doing my research in different ways. In a good area, say there's the reset in the real estate market, and it's a good area to where you can build like an apartment above a garage, and you're able to get it at a good solid price, like say, a 50 or 60% of market value after some foreclosure process. Essentially, you're not getting 3 to 4 units, but if it's in a good area, as an example, to where your valuation is going to return, that would be still a solid deal, eh? Just by that loose number.
So one, if I buy something in the downtime, I would personally try to avoid remodeling it, because I'm not going to be able to get my cash out. So it's unlikely for me to be able to get a cash out deal. So I'm going to buy multi-units and put down the minimum I can, 20%, 30%, and just do the bare minimum on renovations to keep the property going, to keep as much capital to buy more deals. Because if I have $100,000 and I spend, say, $50,000 to buy this property, and then I spend another $50,000 to renovate it, I've only purchased so many units, right? I only purchased 2 or 4 units in that example. But if I use $50,000 to buy this property and then use the other $50,000 to buy an additional property, I now have more units and I have a bigger asset to appreciate. Now I have, say in that example, $500,000 appreciating at 5% a year, compared to having one property that's $250 purchase price, and you put down $50 and then you spend another $50 upgrading it. So now the property, say maybe worth $350, but $350 appreciating at 5%. I'd rather be in $500,000 appreciating at 5% than $350 appreciating at 5%. Now, even if you could build up and build more units, the cost of building is not going to go down. Cost of building will go up. So if you're buying and you're going to say, I'm going to build another unit, it's going to be more expensive to build it than for you to buy an additional unit and just upgrade it.
I understand. So even, essentially what you're doing is wanting to look at what is going to produce more liquid, an asset, even though you're not going to draw from it at any time.
What's going to perform more which is going to bring in more cash flow to cover expenses, and which is going to appreciate more.
Right.
So in this scenario where you're buying a duplex and then building 2 more units, if I had that scenario where I said, hey, I buy a duplex and I could build 2 more units and I have all the cash to do that deal, right? Enough for the down payment plus the construction. Or scenario 2, Pascal, do I buy one fourplex and then buy a second fourplex? How much you're able to multiply your cash is in that scenario. Instead of buying a duplex and building an additional duplex, you could use the same money and probably buy 2 fourplexes that are already finished.
Right. Since the construction, you said it's going to be the cost of construction is going to go up. So the per square foot of construction, you said, is roughly about $200 per square foot.
It depends the market you're in. Ignoring land cost, you're at 150 plus. Right. In my market, you're almost 200 a square foot. If you're in Miami, you're probably at like 250 a square foot. It depends, right? It really depends. So like what labor costs are and so on. But you're looking at like between 150 to 250 square foot building. Now, the areas that this changes, the areas that this doesn't apply for as much. So what I'm trying to say is this: where are the exceptions to the rule? Exceptions to the rule are in like LA, New Jersey, New York, the nicest parts of Chicago, not like the hood, but like the nicest part of Chicago. the areas where they don't have enough housing and each square foot goes for like 500 to 1,000. In that scenario, it's good to build.
Yeah.
But if your purchase cost, if the cost per square foot is at 200 and you can buy completed at 200 or less, then you shouldn't build, you should buy. Another big factor is you're going to be spending a year to get this built. So now you have a year that your capital is not working, yet you're still owing money on the loan.
Good. Yeah. When you do your research, do you do it on the appraiser's website for every county?
I use multiple sources. So I'll go Zillow and the appraiser or realtor.com. I'll use like many sources. And again, those sources are giving you projected information and past information. That doesn't mean eventually by you studying and knowing your market, you're going to make an assessment of what the future is. So I try to win on what it currently is and what I can make it by upgrading it. And then I also make a prediction on what the future is outcome. So if you win in all scenarios are green lights, then it's normally a good deal.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about how you were looking into assisted living facilities to invest into, and that's what you're going into, what you're looking into. Did you know that Rick Scott, I believe he started out in that? Did you know that?
I knew he was in some type of medical health type thing. I mean, a lot of people are going to be in that market because there's a lot of money involved. And there's a lot of people in that market that are passive investors. So they just put up some cash and have someone else handle the rest. I mean, it's becoming very popular within the real estate industry that it's well known in the real estate industry, and it's becoming more talked about, is that assisted living facility is like, this is like this next 10-year period of time. Now, this next 10-year period of time is like the best time to get in. And if you get in now, you're getting in on like the best time for the ground floor right before it's going to jump off. Because there's going to be so many people that need it that are so, yeah.
Yeah. To go back when you were asking or mentioning about lawyers, is there a sequence of things that you look for in contract elements when it comes to purchasing with your lawyer, or do they?
The purchasing in Florida, at least, the purchase contract is basic. It's called a FAR bar, Florida bar contract. So it's basic. Everyone has the same exact contract. The only thing that changes is what is your due diligence period, what is your down payment, blah 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 blah. Like it's very basic. You're going to see the same exact contract with slightly differing areas. And the areas where they differ, it's a blank space and they wrote it in. So really what you need to look at is those blank spaces or those places where they check the boxes. That area is where you're focusing on. See, like, okay, do I have a 5-day due diligence period? Do I have a 15-day? Those things like, so basically is, one, how long do I have to inspect the property? That's one of the biggest factors. Two, is this contingent upon financing? So if I don't get the mortgage, do I get my money back? Those are the two biggest factors. Because if you don't want the deal, you can always cancel. That gives you, and you get your money back. That's it.
And in most states, if you don't have anything in writing, then it means nothing.
Correct.
Even if it's like the beginning of the agreement to purchase. If it's not in writing, it basically is meaningless, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so then I guess that's the first step really, is that, and then the things that you mentioned. So how do you feel about hard money loans, even for first-time buyer, especially in this market, since it's going to go in the direction it will?
If you get a hard money loan now on a property now, what will most likely happen is you won't be able to refinance. You'll be owning the property, and you'll be basically working just to pay the loan. You won't be
Right.
netting any profit. So it's like, it's just very risky to buy something that's overpriced. It's like, doesn't make any financial sense.
I meant more in the ideal scenario, like when the market resets, like say in 18 months or 2 years from now.
I mean,
Things are,
if you have to get that loan to get an amazing deal, and it's logical to get that loan, then yes, it's fine. But if you don't have to get that hard money loan and you can just get a conventional loan, then get a conventional loan. I mean, instead of paying 10 to 15% on hard money, it's a lot better to pay like 3 to 4.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't keep a hard money. It's just I've done a good amount of research about it, and I found out that they will approve you much more quickly than your traditional banks.
Kind of like, I mean, it goes to like 2 weeks instead of 4 weeks.
Correct.
I mean,
but in a sweet deal or a deal that you can't turn away from. That's where I was thinking. Essentially, it's not like 100% of my focus, but I realized that.
And when that time comes, it's going to be a buyer's market, not a seller's market. So you don't need to run. Most of the time, you don't need to run to get this deal, to get a deal done. People are like wishing that they can sell their property.
I see.
That was before, when they were like, people were begging to buy properties.
Yeah. And then last is, so for researching any specific company possibly to invest into, is there, aside from like the NASDAQ and web or online, whatever you can find, where would you go to find the net income of every year's earnings or their quarterly earnings outside of what anyone can find, like on the NASDAQ, about a particular company? If you really,
I don't know. I don't really research that stuff.
No. All right.
All right, Sal. It's good seeing you again.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Take care.
You too. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to answer. All right. I think I answered everybody. So, guys, it's great seeing everybody again. My course, Foundations of Personal Finance, the link is in the bio on my IG, and it's in the description section of my YouTube video. Every Wednesday and every Sunday, I go live at 10 p.m. on YouTube and IG. This video will be up at 10 a.m. tomorrow on YouTube, so you can see it accurately. And I hope all of you guys have a blessed night.